What's up, my witches? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jay, and this is Fright Night Feast, where horror and Halloween and nerdy things and witchy things are a lifestyle. Guys, I am kicking off with this video the start of a new series called Witch-Ology. Play on words. Ultimately, I'm just taking this space in my channel to talk about something that I feel very passionate about, mostly in the literary sense and the pop culture sense. I feel very passionate about witchy things. Literally the other day, my mother was over at my house and I was trying to show her my most recent owl crate box, which I will link the video below in the caption if you haven't seen that video, that unboxing video. But she was like,
"What is this again? More witchy things? Haven't you outgrown that by now?"
and I'm like, Mom, no. I have not outgrown witchy things by a landslide. Like, it's just not even a thing. I will always literally be into witchy things. And so I should preface with the fact that I am not going to be talking about witchy things in a very serious sort of Wicca manner. I want to be talking about witchy things in the sense that I love books about witches, I love movies about witches, I love shows about witches. Did I mention books? Like, books, guys. I love books about witches. And I'm gearing my content more towards booky things and bookish things. So here we are with more bookish things. So I am so excited for this series. Let me know in the comments down below if you're into witchy things, if you're excited about this series. So let's just get started. I wanted to start this series off with a couple of witchy book recommendations. So if you guys have not discovered Alice Hoffman, first of all, where have you been? Aside from her very prominent witchy books, The Rules of Magic and Practical Magic, she is just a very good author. Like, I genuinely love her writing style. I've always loved her books. I've read a couple that aren't witchy by her, and I just can't get away from her as an author. But recently, I decided to get on audiobook the book The Rules of Magic. Oh, guys. Absolute perfection of a book. And I looked on Goodreads, and strangely enough, it's not as high as a rating as I thought it would be, but maybe people don't share my enthusiasm for this book as much as I thought they would. So, Rules of Magic, it follows the three Owens children, Franny, Vincent, and what was her name? Jet, that's right. Her full name is Bridget, but in the book, they call her Jet fondly. And really, it's just a magical book, but not in the very whimsical witchy way or in a very dark witchy way. It basically sort of explores the strength of family ties and just sort of coming together as a family and battling the darkness of, human condition at times with a little witchy edge. There's definitely spells, there's definitely potions in the book, but it is very an adult book in the sense that it examines grief, it examines family ties, family history, and very much it examines otherness in the sense that, the Owens family is essentially a witch family, and everyone that they produce within that family almost always has witch-like powers and sort of a mystical air about them. And they're also cursed in love. So bad things tend to happen when they fall in love with someone. So the otherness that is examined there is that people are they automatically sense that the Owens children are very different from themselves. And so they sort of face not discrimination, but, just being ostracized in normal social settings. And I don't know, it was just so beautiful. I had a serious book hangover when I finished The Rules of Magic. And if you're into witches, I would say that this is sort of a loose interpretation of witches. there isn't a lot of broom flying, and there's no magical school, and there isn't like a lot of heavy spell casting, but there is a mystical air. There is a lineage of witches there. And the sort of magic that they use is sort of very natural. It's just things that sort of happen, and things that happen through intention, much less like eye of newt, toe of frog, etc. And one of my favorite characters in the Rule of Magic is the great aunt. I forget her name, but she basically is known in the small town where the Owens family is from as someone who works miracles of sorts. Like, she's the one you would go to if you needed to have, say, like an abortion, or if you needed a lover to love you back who doesn't already love you back, or if you need a lover to leave their wife, etc. She sort of whips up a magical remedy to help you with what you need for a price, but she is definitely known as sort of like the town magic worker, and she is just such a firecracker. All the women in the Owens family are firecrackers, and it is just a wonderful story. I genuinely loved every second of it, and I could not bear to be apart from it when I wasn't listening to the audiobook. Now, right after I listened to the Rules of Magic, I had to, of course, listen to Practical Magic on audiobook. Now, I did this sort of out of order because Rules of Magic is technically a prequel to Practical Magic. Practical Magic came before Rules of Magic. And so I didn't feel disconnected to the narrative at all when I did it that way. In fact, I almost got a better understanding of the book reading it that way. So I don't feel that it's terribly necessary to read it in the order it came out. So Practical Magic sort of follows Franny and Jet's nieces, and their names are Jillian and Sally. And this is now a major movie. The two main female characters are played by Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock. And it is a phenomenal movie, definitely more witchy than the actual book, which I wholly appreciate. I look forward to watching it every time it becomes fall. Actually, I look forward to watching it pretty much any time of the year, but definitely when it's fall. It is the quintessential fall movie because it is set in New England. And there's just like so many witchy vibes. Like in the movie, for example, Sally owns sort of like an apothecary of sorts where she has lotions and ointments and stuff like that, and it looks like you know, like an origin store in the mall, but like small townish. Anyway, back to the book, because I could go on about the movie forever. So the book is really wonderful because it sort of continues the theme from Rules of Magic, or rather, I guess it originates the theme that is continued in the Rules of Magic, in the fact that it sort of examines familial ties, how difficult it is to sort of inherit a lineage of behaviors and traits, and then also just like trying to separate yourself from what your family used to be and who you're trying to be as a person. That is a major theme throughout the book. And especially with the main character, Sally. That's her biggest thing. She feels very much apart from this sort of like mysterious, witchy, like gray area that her family inhabits, because she's very sort of OCD, to the point, very logical, and her world gets sort of turned upside down because she avoids who she is so much. And that's one of like the bigger moral themes in both of these books, is that if you stop trying to be who you are, negative consequences will happen, which, you know, you can take or leave. I mean, there's a couple holes I could poke into that because you make who you are, but also I get it. Like family ties, there's a lot of history into, you know, where their magic comes from. And I would say that in general, practical magic on a witchy scale is infinitely less than the movie lets on if you watch the movie first. It's still magical in a sense, but it's even less magical than the Rules of Magic, because it mostly deals with just the things that are magic that happen in the book, without trying to give anything away, is sort of how the two main women react to things. Like, if they're angry or if they're super upset, like maybe a storm runs through the town, or, you know, there's milk goes sour, butter melts in the house if someone's in love, that sort of thing. So like, it's sort of an atmospheric edge of magic, not very in your face, like I'm going to turn you into a toad, hocus pocus kind of magic. But I still think people who appreciate the genre of like magic and witches would still love this book. I would just go into it knowing that it is not your direct sort of spell casting, like witchiness. You know? You know? Am I making any sense? I don't know. Anyway, those are two books that I wholeheartedly have to recommend for all you witch lovers out there. And then I feel like this book does not get a lot of exposure, I feel like, on social media. And maybe because it's been a while since it's come out, but let me grab it. Okay, A Secret History of Witches. I picked this up really randomly at Barnes & Noble's last year. And I know this is really late, like I didn't even read it in this year of 2019, I read it in 2018, but I thought I had to include it because I feel like it didn't get enough exposure in just the wider social media. I feel like no one talks about this book, which is really strange because I thought it was beautiful. I read a couple reviews on Goodreads and some people were kind of meh about the ending, which I get. I was kind of that way too, but I felt like the entire journey of the book was inherently magical and very beautifully written. Now, I will say, so the title is A Secret History of Witches, but I would say this reads more like a historical fiction. I'm going to put this down. So, A Secret History of Witches is basically about it follows the line of a specific family of witches through 5 generations. Their last name is Orchieri. It's sort of like a gypsy name. I think it has French ties. I am not good at French, so I'm not even going to attempt it. So I'm going to call it Orchieri, okay? If that's wrong, I'm sorry. But it follows 5 generations of Orchieri witches. See, I can't talk. Messes me up. But it follows the 5 generations of those witches and it goes through the ages. And I feel like the book is very good at describing the times that these witches are living in. And one of the most beautiful things that really struck me is that it really examines the relationship between mother and daughter, because that's how the powers are passed in this family. And, you know, if you know what it's like to be a daughter, it's just mother-daughter relationships can be very complicated, especially when the daughter is very young or in their teenage years. Like there's a lot of compulsion to rebel, maybe not understand each other totally. And I feel like the book does very well at examining that. And there is magic, but it is more of a sophisticated kind of magic. It almost takes it to the edge of like paganism as a religion for this gypsy family, because they hold rites, they worship at a shrine at a certain time of year, they hold traditions, etc. So it's not like your Harry Potter Wizarding World kind of witch. It's more of like, this is our lifestyle. We have upheld these traditions for a very long time. They're very sacred to us, and there's no reason why you, as my daughter, cannot continue these traditions. So it is very beautiful. It reads like a historical fiction. It is a bit of a slower paced read in that sense. I would say that it more examines just the life of these witches. And it ends in a certain era that I thought that was really cool. And I'm not going to give it away because I really think everyone should read it if you're into witches. It is more of a slow burn, but I think it's just such a beautiful tale of mother-daughter relationships. And I think they did it really well, the author. So, Secret History of Witches, definitely recommend. I would say I would give it a solid 4.2 stars. I feel like on Goodreads, I saw it a little under 4 stars, and I feel like y'all are haters. I'm just kidding. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Anyway, my next witchy thing that I have to discuss with you guys. Hello, if you have Netflix and you like witches, y'all need to stop sleeping on Marianne. Now, Marianne is a series, which is interesting because they only have one season open right now. And the way it ended, I mean, I'm curious to see how they will structure the next season. First, I should say that this series is phenomenal. Like, to the depths of my soul, with all the genuine heart that I have, this is a phenomenal series for many reasons. So first, let me tell you that this series it follows a horror writer who has just finished writing her series based on her childhood nightmares about a witch named Marianne. And so she's thinking about retiring from writing horror, maybe exploring other genres, when she's suddenly called back to her hometown by the pleas of an old childhood friend of hers. And because the childhood friend talks about Marianne the witch, and talks about Marianne the witch as if she were real. So that was very intriguing in the first episode. Now, this isn't anything that like you wouldn't know just by reading the synopsis, so don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything. But the thing that I love about this series so far, first, when you open this series, you will be struck by just the absolute gorgeous cinematography. So the series starts in the city and then it eventually sort of goes back to the main character's hometown. And her hometown is by this like beautiful seaside. It's a seaside town. There's lots of grays and dark colors, and it's very moody. It's very beautiful, and I love seascapes. So this really set the tone for the rest of the series. So another thing that I really loved about this series is, aside from the cinematography, a lot of the imagery, a lot of the scary parts were very nightmarish. There were definitely a lot of like jump scares, but there was the bulk of why this series is so effective is that it's very dread-inducing. There are a lot of moments where you don't know what's exactly happening, but you're already kind of scared. Your heartbeat is like going up and you're not sure why, but it's because they've really set this series so effectively with the color scheme and the camera angles and just the storyline. They really set it up to keep you on the edge of your seat this whole way through. And what I really love about this series is that the antagonist, the witch, Marianne, she's not your typical witch in popular culture. She is and she isn't, but I really just love how like she's not this main character that found out that she was a witch or that she has powers and she's going through the motions of like trying to figure out those powers, etc. She is pure evil. And you just, as a witch lover myself, I was like, I don't want to hate you, but I also don't want to love you because you're kind of a scary biss. But I still love you because you're a witch and I love witches. And truly, it just 100%. I highly recommend it. If you're into horror, if you're into witches, I cannot say enough good things about it. And can I also say, any movie that allows old people to be part of the scares, you got me, because old people are scary as fuck. Like, I don't know what it is about old people and young children. Very scary. And it's just this series has everything that I really love about it. It has seances, it just, explores possession and the cinematography of woods and the ocean and just like, old town histories and secrets and just intrigue in total. And the main character is an author, guys. How perfect could that be? Like, just everything I love in a series. There's books, there's writing, there's scary things, spooky things, witches. Yes. So good job, Netflix, and good job whoever wrote or created this series, because Marianne is an absolute gem. All right, guys. So those are my witchy things for the moment. I am in love with all of those things. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've read any of these books, if you've seen any of these series or the movie that I mentioned, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always know when I've got good things coming to you. See you later, guys. Bye.